Hello.
Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good night.
And welcome to the Off the Dome Sports Podcast, your favorite sports podcast where two sports lovers sit and give their hot takes. Off the dome. I am a Redfish.
And I'm Rebo Hustle.
And we will be steering the ship today without the Mustang. Mustang's room, no Mustang.
Always Mustang's room, no Mustang.
Facts. Bro never's here. Anyway, thank you for following us on our X/Twitter, off the _dome pod. Thank you for listening here on YouTube. Thank you for listening back on Spotify, Off the Dome Sports Podcast. And thank you to the No Network, KNEAUX, the only way to spell it. Very happy to be a part of that network. Very happy to be running this Off the Dome Sports Podcast right now. Rebo Hustle, how we doing?
You know, battling this sinus infection, but
hey,
another day, another dollar. You know how it is.
I hear you. I hear you. Anyway, so, first thing we want to talk about, what we normally talk about first. Hey, Fighting Tigers.
Go Fighting Tigers.
Okay. So, last time we talked about,
the
Dut's in the chat.
Twitch chat.
Dut's in the chat early. Gotta love Dut. Tigers, we talked about last week, we're waiting until the bowl game gets closer to talk about that breakdown, which we'll probably do in next week's episode. So for today, JD5 announced he is not playing in the bowl game. He is entering his name into the NFL draft, and the Jaden Daniels chapter of the LSU Tigers is officially closed. How do we feel now that we know Jaden Daniels is officially wrapped up his career in purple and gold?
The writing was on the wall.
Yep.
You win the Heisman, you're not in the championship conversation. Why play?
Yeah, it makes sense.
I saw a lot of things on Facebook talking about, like, the bowl system is ruined and you're not getting the best players playing in the bowl games, blah, blah, blah. But why complain when it's already fixed is my thing. Next season, we're getting 12-team playoff. If you're a Heisman candidate, you're going to make a top 12 seed.
Yep.
And there's just no, like, there's no more for Jaden Daniels to prove in this one game that honestly doesn't really matter.
And not only that, but you have to look at it. He won the Heisman. He had a Joe Burrow-esque rise where it's like he was probably going to go in the mid rounds of the draft, maybe later rounds, and now he's in the discussion for a top 10 pick. So if you're in the discussion for a top 10 pick and you're a quarterback who runs the ball like heck, and you put yourself in danger and something happens, well, now you're no longer a top 10 drafted quarterback.
Yeah, you blow your ACL or blow your ankle in a bowl game, and you go from top 10 to third, fourth rounder, and that's a pay cut.
Yeah, and, I mean, while I don't love the idea that a lot of guys aren't playing in the bowl games anymore, it does make sense for certain instances, and I think this is one of them. Can't blame JD5 for, taking this one. Taking a seat on this one, and plus it'll give us the chance to look at Nuss. We saw him a couple times this year when we had blowout games. We saw him last year in the SEC championship game against Georgia. We've seen him here and there, but this will be, the first time we get a full game of Nuss with everybody we had on the team this year, because JD5 is the only guy who's not playing. So it's a full roster. Plus Nuss at quarterback. So we'll see where that goes. What are you expecting to see out of Nuss?
Well, first I want to answer the initial question of what is JD5's legacy at LSU.
Yeah.
And we really saw, like, I was the hater of the group. I didn't trust him. I was kind of hoping that he'd declare for the draft early last year. We get a transfer in and have a quarterback battle for the spring game and all of that, but it didn't happen. We saw one of the greatest turnarounds in 1 year that we've seen in a long time. I mean, I know Joe Burrow did it, but other than those two guys, like, it's unheard of.
Yeah, for sure.
And me and my dad were talking earlier today, and a lot of these college quarterbacks don't have, not even college quarterbacks, but the scrambler archetype, like the Jalen Hurts or the Justin Fields. A lot of those guys don't have the idea to process a defense like Brock Purdy does. That's why Brock Purdy's in the MVP conversation. It's not that he's an outstanding athlete. Some people put game manager on him, but let's be honest, Tom Brady was a game manager too.
Yeah.
It's just those guys can diagnose the defense, but this season we saw out of JD5 that not only can he be a game manager, but he can also use that scrambler.
Yep.
And that's the whole reason that he led the country in rushing yards from a quarterback, was second in passing yards, most touchdowns, and there was no other guy for the Heisman in my opinion, and there's no other guy that I'd rather quarterback the LSU Fighting Tigers this season.
I love that. Hey, accountability. Accountability, Rebo. Gotta love it.
But moving on.
Yeah.
To what's to expect out of Nuss next week? Well, not next week, but whenever the bowl game is.
Yeah. New Year's Day.
New Year's Day. It would be the most amazing thing of all time if we get a repeat of what Matt Flynn did in his bowl game takeover. But that's on the higher side. But you are looking into your future. I mean, I know not all these guys are coming back, but good percentage of them. And from the transfers coming in, it looks like they're really committing to Nuss, and just pushing him, not just giving him a guy to go beat. And so I don't know. I'm excited. It's the next step in LSU's journey.
Yeah, for the bowl game, Brian Kelly did say they're going to scheme the offense differently than they have all season because Jaden Daniels is a very different quarterback than Nuss is. He said they're going to be running a lot more stuff to push the ball downfield rather than kind of just leaving it open because Jaden Daniels is so good when the play breaks down. They had a lot more like either short yardage or just kind of like do-it-yourself type stuff, but now they're going to have some schemes where, Nuss can push the ball downfield and see what he's working with as far as arm talent goes. We know he has it all. It's just putting the pieces together. So next part we wanted to talk about, of course, is the transfer portal, like you said. We did have 3 guys come in so far, but we've had quite a few leave as well. Not all of them that are leaving have made any kind of like impact. There's some of them who have never played a snap for us.
Yeah,
so it didn't matter.
There's one big shock on who's leaving, and it's Marlon Martinez. You really only have to replace the center next year, with Charles Turner graduating after his 5th year of eligibility.
Yeah.
But everybody else should be back. And so Marlon Martinez was the easy plug there. We saw... Bless you.
Thank you.
We saw that he is the answer in the Missouri game.
Yep.
Turner went down. He came in. He went down. And the freshman, I can't remember his name, but he came in, and I'm guessing that's the next fit.
Yeah, I can't even tell you. I'm going to be honest with you. If our biggest question mark is who's playing center for us, I feel pretty good. The only other problem I had in the transfer portal was Sage Ryan.
I did not see that.
Yeah, Sage Ryan also in the transfer portal. He was very... If you box score watch and you pay attention to PFF, which I personally don't because I think PFF is stupid, he's the best player on LSU's defense, apparently.
Yikes.
But I felt like...
The eye test doesn't work.
Huh?
Said the eye test really doesn't work.
No, that's what I was going to say, is if you just watch the game, I don't think Sage Ryan was a first-round talent. He wasn't the DBU kind of guy.
Yeah.
He's a very good ball player. I think he's going to go second, third round in the NFL draft after next year. He'll probably transfer somewhere where he gets a lot of playing time, and maybe he'll have the chance to make an impact. But I'm not as worried about losing Sage Ryan as maybe some other people are, just because I felt like he wasn't always consistent, and the big plays he did make were then followed up by plays he missed. So we'll see how that defense looks, losing Sage Ryan. We also lost Quincy Wiggins, who really didn't play too much. He went over to Colorado. LaTerrence Welch, DB, who had 2 games where he played all season, looked good in one of them, not so great in the other. He went to Arizona State. And then Armani Goodwin's really the only other one of name, and he has yet to pick a destination. So that's our outgoing guys. As far as incoming guys, we have 3. First guy I wanted to talk about, safety out of Texas A&M, Jordan Gilbert. Went to U-High.
Yes.
So he's a local guy. Went to A&M. transferred out. Now he's back home. He's a 6'1", 220-pound safety. So he's got the length that you want. Didn't play last year. He only played 2 games. Had a shoulder injury, I believe. Ended up with like 5 total tackles, a tackle for loss, and a pass breakup, if I remember correctly, what he did in those 2 games. We're losing Sage Ryan. We bring in a safety to replace him, a bigger, harder-hitting safety who, plays more of a Greg Brooks role than a Sage Ryan role.
Yeah.
So, obviously, with the Greg Brooks situation, you got to bring in somebody, and Jordan Gilbert ended up being that guy for us. So I'm excited to see what he does. And then offensively, I'm very excited about bringing wide receiver Xavier Thomas.
John Ehret talent.
Yeah, John Ehret talent. So another Louisiana boy. Went to Mississippi State. A lot of people are leaving that Mississippi State team. I think they didn't live up to the expectations, and they're getting a new head coach, so he probably wants to bring in his people, bring in his recruits. These guys may not, feel the people who recruited them aren't there anymore, so it's time for them to head out. So Xavier Thomas is coming to the boot. Going to be an LSU Tiger. He had 500 receiving yards and I believe 8 touchdowns last year for Mississippi State. Really good on special teams as well. I would assume with, I think Clayton was a senior this year, so he won't be back, and he was kind of our solid special teamer. So I would expect Xavier Thomas to kind of fill that role because he did it for Mississippi State. And then, we'll see if he can bring a good connection with Nuss going into next season.
Yep.
And then last transfer, speaking about Nuss, we got a quarterback. Happened like 45 minutes ago. AJ Swan out of Vandy. Started 6 games this year. Was kind of up and down. 1,500 yards, 12 touchdowns, but also threw 7 picks. Like you said earlier, this isn't a move to really take the job from Nuss. It's more of a move to push Nuss because you're getting a starter from somewhere else in the SEC. So he knows how to play ball. And then, you're saying, hey, Nuss, man, like, this is your competition. Let's go win it.
Yeah.
And if Nuss can beat him out, then I'll feel good about Nuss being our starting quarterback next season.
Like that mold you saw work at Ole Miss last year with them transferring in Spencer Sanders and pushing Dart. So I think that was the idea if Jaden left last year, that's what LSU would do this year. What we would do last year to push Nuss. But, there's only one way to get better, and it's being pushed. It's not. Yeah. You're not getting better if you're getting handed the job from Ricky Collins and a freshman.
Yeah, we love Colin Hurley. We know he's going to be a good player. I would expect him to probably start a sophomore season.
Yeah.
Ricky Collins, I watched him in T-shirt and shorts, and I wasn't even impressed, so don't know what he looks like in pads.
Great athlete.
Great athlete. Not sure how he throws the football, and that's the opposite of Nuss, is we know he can throw the football.
Yeah.
But, Kyron Lacey announced he's coming back, so if he can stay consistent on what his big games were, because he did have some games where he went for like 130 and 2 touchdowns. If he